How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. I'm well, thank you. Can't complain. Glad to have you on. I'm super excited for our catch up today, our candid conversation. I know you've got heaps to share with the people, and true to your name and your history, you're looking beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
You came to share some gems and to slay too. So for everyone tuned in who isn't quite familiar with yourself, do you want to let them know who you are, where you're from, what you do?
Sure. My name is Delesia. I also go by Deleesh, which is my Instagram handle. And I am a New York-based copywriter primarily. And I started a brand, a company that would allow me to do more than just write. So that's why I say I'm a beauty queen turned entrepreneur. And what's most dear to my heart is empowering women. And so that's why I say I want to help women live more abundantly.
Awesome. And what is that in definition? What is living more abundantly to you?
Yeah, so it's from scripture, and Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. And I hear people talking about abundance and manifesting and all these kinds of things. And I want to make it clear that that's not what my brand is about. It's not about, it's not about saying you're going to get rich or you're going to, achieve monetary success or fame or fortune or any of those things. But it's first faith-based. What I do and who I am is based on my faith. And then in addition to that, I think we can sometimes operate in a lacking mindset. We can just think of the world and think of opportunities in this kind of have this victim mentality, or not think as positively as we can, not show up, not advocate for ourselves, not expect the best when it comes to relationships or when it comes to our career, comes to what we can achieve. And so my goal is to empower especially women to move past this lacking mindset and into the abundant life.
Amen. So it's effectively changing thought from thinking in a worldly form and thinking you're less than, and looking at yourself as God created you, and that you are a gem and you're one of God's gems, and you're going to help them open their eyes and see the light that actually you are special, irrespective of your financial status, irrespective of your social status. Amazing. So how did we get here? So take us back to the beginning. You've got Deleesh, you were working full time, and then you decided, actually, I'm going to take a leap of faith and jump so you can create this amazing brand that you've created. Take us back from the beginning.
Yes. So I was, a year ago, I became a full-time entrepreneur. I was working full-time for a nonprofit through my church, and I came to a crossroads where I could choose to step into a new role or there wasn't a choose to step into a new role or not, but on my end there was an or not. I knew that wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do next, but I knew that wasn't what I was called to, or what I was even passionate about, or something that I wanted to do. And so for me, it was okay, I had been feeling, sensing, or maybe I had revelation from God that there was going to be a transition at the end of last summer. And so when I was approached about that position and approached about some things that were just going to be changing in the organization, I was like, I feel like this is it. I didn't know what that was. Sometimes you get a hunch, you get an inkling. You don't know exactly what it is, but you know that it's something. And so in that moment, I felt like, okay, I don't know what's next, but I know that this is not next. And so I spoke with my pastor at the time and told him, what I was doing. I told him what my ultimate goals and dreams were. I said, I feel like I'm supposed to step out and step into that. And he was very supportive, and, just affirmed what I'd been hearing and what I'd been thinking. And so that was great. And so shortly thereafter, I connected with a woman who was the founder of Dark Beauty, which is a beauty platform for people of color. And we really connected. And so I joined her team as part of the like launch team. And as I was a part of that, it was great. You know, I learned a lot from her, and we were able to get the brand off the ground. But I felt that I wasn't like as passionate about building something for someone else as I was for building my
for yourself.
And so that's what led me to take on copywriting full time. And I had been freelancing for a couple years before that. And so that's what kind of gave me the like, okay, if I leave, like I have something, you know, to fall on. I didn't leave and like there was nothing, period. I left. And
you had a cushion, like a stepping stone almost.
Yes. So I was already freelance copywriting. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to do this full time and make a career out of it.
What would you say was because it takes obedience to hear God saying, move in a certain direction and uproot what you were doing and opportunities that were presenting themselves to you, but to say, actually, I feel like God's telling me to move into another direction. And sometimes we hear God tell us to do things and we're like, God, you sure? Like, or you're nervous, you know, you've either got bills to pay or there are certain things that will stop you or deter you from going ahead and doing what you feel effectively you're called to do. Yeah. What was that like for you, that actually taking that leap and being obedient to the shift that you felt at the time? What did you tell yourself, or what mind state did you put yourself into to be able to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like a, you know how sometimes like God will tell you to do something like, no, I don't really want to do that. But I'm going to do it, but like I need to work myself up to doing it.
Yeah.
I really had that experience. It was kind of like, I know that this is what I want to do. And I kind of just believe that, like, you know, God is going to work it out. And so, I think I've always been someone with strong faith. It's one of my spiritual gifts, and it is for many people, but I've kind of just always had faith that it's going to work out. And I think it's also having an abundant mindset, you know, like I didn't fear that like I was going to be broke or that I wasn't going to be successful. I mean, those are logical things that you're concerned about. Okay, so like, bills have to be paid, of course. But I didn't picture myself not succeeding or not doing well, or even if I did, you know, have slower months than you know, faster or you know, profitable months, which I have had. I just didn't feel like that was going to be the end of me. And so I have very supportive parents, very supportive friends who were kind of like, yeah, Dee, I see that, you know, I see that for you. Like I see that it's what you should be stepping into. And so all of those things combined was like the confirmation that I needed, and like the, you know, emotional support to like really, you know, take that leap.
Go through it and feel confident in doing it. And then you took that jump. So you said, okay, I'm gonna step out, I'm gonna take this leap of faith and effectively look to build, because you for short term worked for someone else. You realize this still isn't my calling. I'm supposed to be doing what I feel like I'm called to do, so to speak. What was the finding your feet process in your new normal like for you?
That's a great question. One of the biggest things is like, as an entrepreneur, is like creating your own schedule and having the self-discipline to like stick to the schedule, you know, meet deadlines, follow through. So that was the biggest thing for me. I work from home. I have a little home office in my New York City studio. And so it was kind of like, you know, I was already working with a few clients before, like I said. And so it was for me learning, you know, the structure of my days and of my weeks, and then, you know, starting to like pitch myself to businesses and to brands so that I could bring in more work. And so, you know, you experiment, you play with different things, you see what other people are doing. And so what's been helpful for me is Facebook groups. Those are like for writers, for female writers, for women in business, for female entrepreneurs, all of those groups. Whenever I hear one, I think it's for me, I join them. I'm subscribed to listservs and newsletters that give me information. I'm always reading and trying to grow in what I'm learning and be a better, entrepreneur, be a better businesswoman, be even more creative, get inspiration. And so finding community of writers, finding access to resources that can help better me has been something that's really helped, I think, push me along. Because even when it comes to, negotiating rates or like figuring out what your rates are for certain things, or how to, have certain kinds of conversations with clients, or, writing a contract, all of those things, you're kind of like, if you, didn't get a business degree, or you didn't have that business experience, you're kind of learning. So it's been really helpful for me to learn from other writers and from other entrepreneurs.
Awesome. So you did mention building a schedule. Even me personally, coming from working full time and having that normal wake up, go to work, come back, trying to manage and juggle your own schedule is really difficult. And it's great that you actually brought that up, because what tips, if you were to give 3 tips to sticking to your schedule, because we can all write one, but sticking to it is another case altogether. So what would you say are your 3 top tips to staying and sticking on schedule, or even one like golden tip?
Yeah, so I'm not going to act like I have mastered this, okay? It's almost a year that I've been in business for myself full time. So it's still something that I'm like learning and navigating. But I think the biggest thing is to learn that every day and every week isn't going to look the same. So I may have more client work or office work some weeks, and I may have other, work to do in other weeks. So, more weeks may be admin. So I may be pitching, I may be, balancing my budget. I may be, looking into into what kind of, filing I should do. All of those things, happen throughout this year. And so no week looks the same as the week before.
Right.
And so looking at, the week ahead and seeing what your deadlines are, seeing what's happening in the world or in, country, in your city, all of those things factor into how you map out your week. And then from there, what was helpful for me was, using my Google Calendar and like assigning each task I have to do to my Google Calendar. Right. I'm great at making a list. I can make lists all day, but I found that if I don't assign a time to it, then it's like, when did you think this is going to
happen? Okay, perfect. You also mentioned reaching out to other brands and companies and joining Facebook groups, which you've done brilliantly, hence why we're here. You reached out to us, and I'm so glad you did, because you've got some amazing stuff to share with us. I mean, you already have. I saw a comment come through, someone saying, taking notes. I am going to get to your comments just shortly, guys, so please drop any questions you have for Delesia in the comments, and I will get to them shortly. But back to your ability to reach out to brands, businesses, and then take the initiative to join Facebook groups and network and really position yourself in a way where you will be seen and you can grow. What gave you the confidence to do that? Because there may be some people out there who they feel a little bit timid, or imposter syndrome, or maybe they're not going to want to talk to me, or maybe I'm not good enough yet, or I'm not big enough yet. What gave you the confidence to go out and connect to these brands, and what are your top tips for doing it to anyone watching?
So I think it's a few things. The biggest thing I think I can point to is that I do have a background in PR, and in PR there's a lot of
that makes sense.
A lot of pitching, and so I'm not pitching a client, I'm pitching myself and my services. So that helps a great deal. I also have much experience with rejection. I competed in pageants for several years, and I lost more than I won. I was first runner up to Miss Virginia USA twice, so I didn't end up winning. I didn't end up going to Miss USA. And something that is said in the pageant world is different day, different different day, different judges, or different judges, different results, something like that, which basically lets you know that, you know, if you could take the same competition and you could replace the judges with new ones, and they're different day, different judges, different outcome. And so you could replace them and there would be a completely different outcome. You know, you work hard for things in life and you give it your all, and sometimes they end up not working out, and you can often like feel like, woe is me, like, am I ever going to succeed? Am I ever going to win? Am I ever going to achieve my dreams? And so having that experience and being able to come back each time I didn't win, or come back if I didn't make the top 10, or come back if I didn't make the top 5, really it birthed in me, what's that called, that word, resilience. So I don't fear hearing no. I mean, there is the like, oh my gosh, like I'm sending this to this person I've never met, and I just researched their company and told them what I think I can do for them. There is that, but there's also like, okay, I'm just gonna send this email and
if it's
tell them what I do, what I've researched, and if they say yes, they say yes. If they say no, you know, someone's gonna say yes. But the more that you pitch yourself and put yourself out there, the more, just by sheer numbers, probability, the more chances there are that you're going to get one of those opportunities. So I think that's what really, you know, pushes me.
That's some brilliant advice. You mentioned you featured in pageants. You're a former beauty queen, which is what some people would consider a polar opposite to your message now of purpose. Beauty queens and beauty pageants is very much surface based, and you also possess that inner depth and that inner living an abundant life and living in purpose. Was there sort of an awakening or something in your journey from doing pageants and being exposed to that world to that sort of catapulted or made you want to focus more so on living life abundantly and focusing on faith and things of that nature? I hope that makes sense. Are you with me?
Yes, it does. I think I should start with misconceptions about pageantry. I think for outsiders looking in, you see like these beautiful women, and you know, you think that it's all based on your looks. And the truth is, number one, looks are subjective. So who I find beautiful is not the same as who someone else would find beautiful. So that's number one. And the standards of beauty are changing. You know, someone who looked like me wasn't even like Miss America until the 1980s. So we are continually growing in what our perception of beauty is. And something that I always spoke about when I was competing was the democratization of beauty. I competed at the state level. The first time I was first runner-up, I competed with natural hair, which was like unheard of at the time. And so many people discouraged me from doing that. And they were like, if you want to win, you wear your hair straight. And then once you win, you can wear it however you want to. But I knew that I wanted to wear my hair natural because I wore my hair mostly like that in, you know, in real life. And also because I wanted little girls with natural hair to see themselves in me, and to know that they were. So it wasn't pageantry, and then now I'm switching, you know, lanes. It was all connected for me. I've always been
had purpose. Right.
Always passionate about empowering women and empowering the next generation. And so I've wanted to do that. I wanted to do it on a larger scale, obviously, through competing in and winning pageants. But I still have that same drive and passion even now. But, you know, I didn't win it all.
I love that. Right, I'm going to get into some of these questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to scroll right up to the top. Love you too, Kayan Knitwear from Edinburgh. As per, Kayan's been in probably nearly all of our Candid Conversations live. She's always got some great questions as well. Poetic Songstress sends her love strucks. R. Pearson says Deleesh with loads of exclamation marks.
Brian.
Let's go, Abundant Mindset. That's from Ali D. H Skies is in here sending the thumbs up and agreeing. Kay in Knitwear, he said she's taking notes. What books would you recommend to read?
I am currently reading, what's it called? Profit First, which is a book for entrepreneurs and to help them like manage their finances. And so what he talks about is basically the envelope system, but within your bank account. So 5 different accounts, one for taxes, one for your profit, one for owner's compensation, one for operating expenses, and I'm forgetting the 5th one. But he has this proven system of how you can organize your finances and how you can take your profit first and reduce your operating costs to ensure that you are making a profit, which is counterintuitive to traditional accounting. But it's been super helpful for me. I'm not finished reading. But that's one book that I'm reading right now that I think is helpful for entrepreneurs who are, you know, just seeking to try something new. And in entrepreneurship, you're always, you know, experimenting. You never arrive where you're like, oh, I've got this down and I don't need to try anything new. I don't need to do any other research. You're always doing research, always learning more. And so that's one book. Another book I'm reading is Modern Etiquette Made Easy. Etiquette can be like a passe kind of, people can think that it's like, you know, no longer relevant, but it's really about how you show respect for yourself and respect for others. And the author, Michael Myers, she even wrote a business version of it too. So whether you're, you know, just, you know, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, I think learning about and reading about etiquette is helpful.
Absolutely. Awesome. Also, there was another question. Have you got any good networking conversation starters?
Networking conversation starters. I wouldn't consider myself like a master networker. I'm great at connecting with people. I'm really great at small talk, even though I don't like it. But I think especially in the age of COVID and in social distancing, that it's a little bit easier to network because you can kind of hide behind your computer screen, you know, so you can say things that you probably wouldn't have in real life to start conversations with people than you would have before. So I see on like the Facebook groups I'm in, people are like, hey, like I have this question about, you know, pricing, or I have this, you know, problem with my, with a client he's telling me this, and I don't think that that's right, you know? So I think putting yourself out there is a little bit more easier when you're behind a computer screen, but you also have the opportunity to respond to people who ask questions like that if you have insight, and then that, you know, is kind of an entryway to starting a, you know, deeper friendship or growing your network just by either putting yourself out there or responding. And then in terms of relationship building, I'm just someone who is always curious about people and their experiences. So I'm always asking questions. I'm always wanting to know more about them. And I think that puts people in a place where they feel relaxed and comfortable and makes them want to open up. So be good at asking, like, don't get too personal, but be good at asking, you know, questions about people's experiences in a genuine way that doesn't make it seem like you're just like trying to get something out of them. Like, I want a job, so tell me about, you know, how you got where you are. Like, have a genuine heart and have, you know, genuine questions for people, genuine conversation starters. And I think that's the way to go.
That's the way, yeah. And I think that's really powerful what you say about having genuine conversations, because I think there's a lot of stress and pressure on the word and the experience networking when it's really just connecting. It's literally just talking to people. And I think what's really important about networking is you might not get on with everyone you intend to network with, or you might not particularly gel with them, and that's okay. So go in without any expectations, and you know, if you think, oh, this is going to be a great person to network with, and then you start talking to them and you think, actually, I'm not too keen, or we didn't quite get on, like, that's okay, because everyone is still people, you know, and you hit it off greatly with some people and not so much with others. But then also, I can't remember who I was listening to. It might have been like, it could have been a podcast, it could have been a book. Because I have 2 books, I'll recommend them shortly because I've got them somewhere too, about networking. But he basically said, sometimes it's not about trying to network with the main person in the room or the main person that you want to get in touch with. Is the networking with someone who can put you in touch with that person, because that person's going to feel more warm and likely to accept that recommendation from someone they know. Like, hey, let me put you in touch with, as opposed to you just coming up as a stranger trying to force a conversation. So it's not always about trying to network with, you know, the biggest, most known name in the room. Yeah. Sometimes it's just networking across, like Issa Rae says, network across. Yes. Network with people who are in your, you know, lane and caliber and doing what you're doing, and then network with the group, the team. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be the icon, so to speak.
I was thinking that too as you were speaking. I was like, you know, when we think of networking, we're like, I gotta, you know, meet the CEO, or I need to be friends with Oprah. And it's like, okay, like Oprah is friends with people who are on, you know, whatever Oprah are. She's friends with people who are like on her level, you know. And not that I don't, you know, necessarily believe in a certain hierarchy, like people are, you know, more valuable than others. But like, if you're a small town reporter, you should be building relationships with other small town reporters. And then as you grow, then you grow together. And so when you're, you know, on anchors on like ABC News, then you know that person was down for you when you were, you know, just barely making it, as opposed to these new people you meet. And you're always going to meet new people, and you know, people don't mean bad, they're just new, and learning them. But I think sometimes we want to go for the biggest people because we feel that by association or by, you know, knowing them, that somehow makes us more valuable. But there is something to learn from people who are, you know, doing the same things we are doing, or even people who are, you know, a few steps ahead of us.
Absolutely. Cool. And let me get, these are, off the screen. Whilst we were on the topic of books, here's the 2 books. So both of these books are based on networking. One is Little Black Book of Connections, and the other is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Both are very highly recommended. I haven't finished them myself, but to who asked the book question, try and look into those. We've got Alicia in here, fire. We've got That's So Good, asking the right questions, brilliant. Do you think your life experiences shaped, formed, and prepared you for entrepreneurship?
I think so, yes. So my father's an entrepreneur back home in my home state of Virginia. And so I've witnessed him build a business, build a brand, build a name for himself. And so in that regard, I think it's in my blood. And I talked about my pageant experience and having lost so many times and how that built in me resilience. I talked about, you know, having worked in PR, and I think all of those things help prepare me for doing what I'm doing, not only, you know, as a writer, but as an entrepreneur, as someone who has dreams beyond that. You know, I did take journalism in school. I studied communication. And so I had the educational background and the experience, but I think the things that I didn't learn in school, through pageants, through, you know, interviewing, through watching my father and working with him, I think all those things work together to help propel me to where I am now.
Awesome. Poet Song Stress, thank you for a great conversation. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, we've got loads of agreement here. Loving the YouTube videos. You have a YouTube. We can take your YouTube at the end of this episode. And the flowers in the back. Oh,
I think those are your flowers.
I actually made that arrangement myself.
Okay.
So, how do you feel after a year of entrepreneurship? Let me just draw these comments down. After a year of entrepreneurship, would you say it's been as you expected?
Well, the majority of my first year in entrepreneurship has been 2020, which was a year that no one expected. But I think I don't think I knew what to expect. I don't think I had any expectations besides that I'm doing this, you know? And so I expected it to be hard. Of course, I expected to, you know, do well and, you know, and how I just did what's that word? Define success and define doing well. But apart from that, I can't say that I had this really like, you know, specific view of how it was going to look. I knew that I'd be working out of my apartment. I knew that I'd be writing. I knew that I would be working towards building other things. And so I've been doing that. Been quite a year.
Like you say, it's been quite a year. And as an entrepreneur in 2020, like an assault course, what advice can you give any entrepreneurs at the moment who are feeling maybe a little bit discouraged or defeated by the current climate and maybe difficulties that they might be facing because of the effects of COVID and the pandemic? How would you tell or advise them to keep their mind above it and to keep going? What is your advice for that?
Yeah, so what keeps me going truly is in any situation is my faith, you know. Jesus is my only hope. So no matter what's happening in the world, whether it's, you know, COVID or whether it's social injustice or racial injustice or what have you, I have no hope except for that hope. And so that applies to my business as well. And I know that I'm fortunate in that, you know, I do have a low overhead. You know, I have my computer, which is my number one resource, and you know, my rent, which is my office. And there are entrepreneurs out there who have brick and mortar businesses, who have products, who haven't sold as well as they were before because of the shift in purchasing, and it's beginning to pick up now. But I think my experiences have been much different from those. And so any, you know, hope that I could give would be like, okay, well, Delesia hasn't really experienced what I've experienced, you know. You shut down her business, you know.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head, because irrespective of products and commercial buildings and other things that entrepreneurs may have that you don't, what you said to start with was blanket, you know, having faith and trusting that no matter what happens, whether it be the pandemic, a dip in your business, social injustice, it's Jesus, it's God who has got your back and who is able to turn your mountains into molehills. So don't credit your, you know, you hit the nail in the head to start with, to be honest with you. It's just having that faith, exercising that faith, and being okay with the days when your faith isn't as strong. Because sometimes you're like, you know what? But then actually, it's fine. Have that day and pick yourself back up. Never let your faith go. Your faith can dip, your faith will increase, but never let it go. And just like Jesus said, you just need a mustard seed. A mustard seed of faith. Yeah. And if you guys Google how small a mustard seed is,
it's tiny.
Right. But he said that's all you need. So you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I did see a couple of comments coming through here.
While you're looking, I'd like to add that like faith isn't like a one and done kind of thing, you know. It like trusting God and like you just trust God and that's it. It's like no, every day I have to choose again to trust God. And in business, every day you have to choose to like show up and to you know, do what you set out to do. And even when it feels like nothing is changing or it's not growing, I'm not growing as fast as sister so and so who started, you know, a year after I did or 3 months after I did, like how is she growing so fast? You know, we can be we have to challenge ourselves not to look left or look right so much, and really like focus on looking forward and checking in with why we started and what our purpose is, like even when, you know, the times get rough, because faith and trusting God aren't just a one and done thing. They're a consistent help me to trust you, Lord. Like that's the truth.
Yeah, that is powerful. That is, again, the nail on the head. You're literally speaking, you're singing from my hymn sheet right now. Someone said, starting off as an entrepreneur in 2020 is for sure going to be a great preparation for your future. Yeah. Great training ground. Yeah. That's September unique. That is a fact.
Oh, September.
We got some claps in here from Flights of Love, some 100, some amens, some agreements. Yes, finally, faith in Jesus admits all the world's problems is being mentioned. Yeah, finally, I'm hey, follow the Purpose platform if you ain't following the Purpose platform. It's mentioned, child. Being faith over here. A mustard seed of faith. Awesome. Guys, any other questions, feel free to drop them in. So whilst we are kind of on the cusp of wrapping up, do you believe in 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals?
Can you say that one more time?
Do you believe in like having 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals? Is the accent?
Yes and no. I think for me, Delesia, whenever I've had specific, like I want to be here at this age, or I want to be here in a certain amount of years, that it hasn't worked out the way I thought it would. And I think that that's okay. Like, there's scripture that says man, you know, makes his plan, but, you know, it's God's, you know, purpose that prevails, or something along those lines. I'm not quoting that verbatim. But, you know, we can have plans, we can have ideas, we can have goals. And I think it's important that we do, to have something to work towards. But I think when we get so, you know, caught up in that specific thing, then we don't really leave room for God to be God. You know, we really want to control so much of our lives. So we look into these, also we, like I was talking to a friend earlier, we look into these, we look into our personality tests, or we consult psychics or mediums, or we, you know, do all these things because we want to know, like, what is going to happen in my life? Am I going to get this job? Am I going to marry this person? Am I going to become a millionaire? And we really just have to trust that God is going to be God, you know, and that his purpose will prevail. And that's what's, you know, important to me. So do I have goals that where I want to be in 3 years? I want to be debt free for sure in 3 years. When do I want to buy a house, or, you know, start having children? You know, I don't know. There's no real way to say. I'm happy for those things that come, you know, happy. But I've never been someone that has been strict, you know, like, you know, in 3 years I'm going to be here, or I'm going to be there. You know, I'm kind of like a type B kind of person in general. So I am futuristic. I'm always planning, preparing for things, but I don't always give a specific timeline to it. And that's what worked for me.
I'm the same. I have a load of things that I want to achieve, but I haven't said, right, in this time I'm going to do this, in this time I'm going to do this, because it can. The thing is, I think it depends on the individual, because it can put unnecessary pressure on you to achieve these things. And then it can also bring on and encourage depression, maybe not as deep as depression, but you'll be really hard on yourself when you haven't achieved it in that time. But then on the flip side, it's like some people need a timeline to work toward, to know that, like, this is what I'm trying to, and then they will actually be okay if they're not there at that time, but they've had something to work towards. So I think that's a fair point, that everyone manages it in a different way, and it all works. Like you say,
Yep.
you know, God will do what he wants to do
when
he wants to do it. So trust the timing of your life.
Yes.
If you were going to leave us with some words of wisdom today, and your message and your feel of stepping into abundance and just being your greatest self, because you ooze, honestly, you ooze good energy, good vibes, you ooze positivity. And I feel like anyone tuned in today who has been fortunate enough to listen to this conversation will feel uplifted just by what you've shared with us today.
Hope so.
Yeah. So if you're going to leave us on a word, would it be?
I'd say to not, how should I say this? I'd say to be okay with not knowing what your thing is. So when I was freelance writing, I knew that I was a writer. I knew that I was good at writing. But I kind of fell into web copy, writing for websites, and SEO copywriting. And that was because of one connection that had a project that I was working on that led to another similar project that led to another. And I think if I had set out and said, I'm specifically going to, you know, do this, then I would have felt, you know, I would have, what's that word? I would have not taken that opportunity, because I would have said, oh, like, that's not what I do. So I think something that, you know, entrepreneurs do and writers do is that they niche too early, or they get so committed to that niche that it doesn't give them the freedom, the flexibility to branch out and to do other things. So if you start out with one thing and you're like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm committed to it, like, that's great. But sometimes that thing will come from something else. Like, you'll be inspired by what you're doing to like really land at the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And that's okay. I think that that's beautiful. I think that, you know, when we have the flexibility to pivot and to do something new, to try something new, and really go for it, I think that that's the makings of an entrepreneur. You know, we can't be so stuck in what we're doing and what works for us, because no matter what market you're in, it's always going to be changing. You hear about Blockbuster and how they were laughing at Netflix because of Netflix at the time. They weren't even on the internet. They were, you know, sending out DVDs to people, and Blockbuster didn't catch the wave. And so now they're, I was going to say extinct, but, you know, they're
basically yeah, no, they've like dissolved, haven't they?
So in business, mastering the art of pivoting, always being willing to, you know, change direction or try new things or to look deeper into things is, you know, what really I think helps you continue to grow and stay relevant in business.
I love that. Guys, I hope you received that. Deleesh, thank you so much.
Of course.
AKA Delesia. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and for sharing your light and the awesome journey that you've been on so far. We're excited to stay up to date with you and to see what greatness you achieve moving forward. For any of the Purpose Platform followers watching today, where can they find you and how can they stay up to date?
Sure. So I'm here on IG at Deleesh, and I just launched a YouTube channel, and it's called Life is Deleesh. So Life is Deleesh, and it's a platform to encourage women to live more abundantly. So I talk about, you know, I talk a little bit about fashion. I talk about femininity. I share my faith. I talk about, you know, ways to be classy and elegant. My most recent video is how to be elegant at home. We're all at home pretty much, and
we need that.
We can easily be like, here, no one sees me anyway, so why do I need to be cute? And you know, when you put in the effort to like look good, I think that helps you feel good, you know. And so I want to encourage people to, you know, to have that abundant mindset instead of, you know, having I won't even worry about it. So yeah, on Instagram at Deleesh, on Twitter at Deleesh, and then on YouTube, Life is Deleesh.
Deleesh. Awesome. And then for anyone who is tuned in from your channel over to the Purpose platform, if you want to watch this interview back, it will be on our IGTV for the next 24 hours. And then it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is the Purpose platform. And you can follow us at the Purpose platform. I'm just going to go through the last of these comments. And I think that is so important what you just said. We've got hands up and claps and yeses, and so true. It's so important what you just said about not letting yourself go just because, you know, you're at home, because it is mental. And actually that's something that we need to hear over here in the UK, because we're about to go into lockdown on Wednesday.
Heard, yes.
Again, yeah.
I feel like I think we need like, they've like lessened it, but we might need it again over here.
Yeah, because New York was quite bad during the height of lockdown, just before the summer, wasn't it? I saw online there was quite a lot of cases, and it was growing, specifically in, I would say African American, because we're talking about New York, specifically within the African American community. I know the numbers were huge over there. So you stay safe too. Definitely. I hate that stay safe, stay home saying, because it's completely played out, but stay home. And we will catch up. Guys, don't forget to follow Deleesh and hit her up on her YouTube channel, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Ooh, we laughed her.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you. Bye.